Okay, well, here's a really, really interesting topic that we actually have barely talked about before for some reason, which is how time relates to cognitive functions and what time is in general. Of course, time is the key element in distinguishing between something that is a space object, namely it has no duration, and something that's a time object that has duration. So we start right there with time being related to certain kinds of abstractions, related to language. You can't express an idea without some sort of duration. Related to music. Jesus Christ, Trenton. You were tweaking out on that, weren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I want to see a better picture of it later. But anyway, the thing is, with time, when Trenton was doing that, he was helping himself, in my mind, to make time somehow more sensible by engaging physically his body in space. So, like, I bounce my knee all the time, right? Like right now, I'm bouncing my knee up and down constantly. And why am I doing that? Well, there's no conscious reason for it, but I suspect that it allows us to sort of keep track of the passage of time in some unconscious way because we are aware that there's a repetitive action happening that, or at least somewhat aware, and that might help with that. I don't know, just a thought.
Alright. I think there's always this thing in the back of my mind that I'm kind of worried about efficiency, and it's easy for me to lose a lot of time. In that, like, I can 1 minute it can be like, I act on like I need to use every moment of my life as much as possible, and not in a conventional efficiency way, but I want to be aware of it and conscious of it because I don't seem to remember things that well. And having a watch is like, okay, I have 3 more hours of time to waste, and I'm going to try to be as conscious of at least the last 3 hours as possible before it'll be 3 hours from now, and I'll be thinking, what the fuck happened in the last 3 hours? That's
Well, okay. So, SI fourth slot, Trenton and I both have trouble keeping track of time. We both probably have a lot of trouble anticipating how long something will take to complete.
Yeah.
We have we have difficulty also understanding, like, okay, I've got to do these 4 things. Well, I'll just do it tomorrow, and then you realize, well, you can't really do all 4 things tomorrow, Eric. You have to do these ones first. You have to wait a day, and then you got to go and do these other ones. We're not likely to notice that. Like, we're not likely to think about it going in. We're just not likely to spend a lot of time focusing on time, managing our time effectively. And the one other thing I want to say about that is this inefficiency I am prone to. For example, I want to update the default tags on the video upload so I don't have to type in quite so many tags. I always forget to do it, and then I do my normal thing, which is like dump 8 videos onto there to upload all at once, and I go, oh fuck, I forgot to do it again. I forgot to change the file, and I gotta type them all in individually. Another example, my fucking mirror on my car. I like squeeze in tight of a place, and it folds in if you touch something with it, right? So it's folded in on the right hand side. I couldn't reach over comfortably and fix it. You just got to push it out to make it snap back where it's supposed to be. I drove like that for a week. Every time I drove, I said to myself, Eric, when you stop the car this time, remember to fix the mirror. It took me more than a week, I think, to actually add many, many trips in the car. Before one of the trips, I was like, Eric, this time, you're going to fix the fucking mirror. Keep reminding yourself. And as I was driving, I was saying, don't forget the mirror. Don't forget the mirror. Don't forget the mirror when you park. Eric, you're going to park pretty soon. Don't forget the mirror. And I sort of described, you're going to pull in that parking lot. You're going to look for a parking space. At that point, you should remind yourself, fix the fucking mirror. And I did finally. It was 7-Eleven. I was like, okay, because it's so close, I was able to remind myself all the way there. And I finally fixed the mirror. That's a challenge.
Do you find yourself apprehending? Oh, go ahead.
I was thinking a few days ago that if someone reminded themselves of something like 8 times, they would probably be able to do it properly. I've got a problem remembering things.
It's not just a matter of reminding, it's how you remind yourself too. For me, I've got to say it in different sentences and different framings. So if I want to remember that, I go, don't forget to fix the mirror when you get to 7-Eleven. You're going to pull into 7-Eleven. You're probably going to park in the front parking space. When you make that turn, fix that mirror. Remember, Eric, this has been plaguing you for a fucking week. So when you drive into the parking lot and you park your car, fix the mirror. And I sort of picture it from a couple of different sort of language angles, right? If I rephrase it a few different ways, then I'm more likely to remember it because I'm actually trying.
I usually do something so fucking stupid that it's inevitable for me to remember it. Like, I'll be in the car and I have to remember doing something, and I will just grip the steering wheel as hard as I can and, like, yell or, like, punch a seat or something really stupid, just so I'll know when I stop the vehicle. It'll just be like, what the fuck was I thinking, doing that dumbass shit in the car? And it's like, oh yeah, I gotta do this.
You're remembering your feeling. What was I feeling strongly about? I had that exact experience when I came out of 7-Eleven the other day. What was I feeling strongly about? Oh yeah, that thing I was worrying about. It's an interesting phenomenon. Okay, JC, why don't you tell us about your experience of time? Other people.
I mean, as far as like remembering things, I think I also have trouble with that. Like the way you describe it is kind of similar. I mean, I might remind myself to do something a million times and then just never get around to it. Like I have to do it when I think of it. Like I just have to say, "Oh, I'm thinking about this right now. Let me go do it." Crap. Like unless I do it like right then, I will keep reminding myself a million times. So I'm trying to get into the habit of doing things as I think of them.
Well, could that be an SE thing?
What?
Could that be a dominant SE thing?
Doing things as I think of them?
I mean, that should be more natural, right? You'd expect it to be.
No, I mean, like, occasionally I'll be doing something and think, oh, later I have to do this. But then later I never remember to do that. So unless, like I'll have, like, like passing thoughts. Like, the passing thought things will never get done unless...
Right.
I don't, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
like,
you
it's
just
like
have to take more action, right?
away.
You got to take more action of some sort.
Yeah. Or, I mean, and then the other thing I wanted to address was the thing that you said about, like, the bouncing knee.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was funny because, like, you said that you think you bounce your knee to kind of, like, keep track of time. But I never thought about it like that. I always thought about it as, like, I'm kind of doing this thing to help me focus. Mm-hmm. But maybe I am doing it. I wonder now, like, why I do it. Because I do that a lot. Like, I'll shake my leg or shake my foot or just weird things like that. And I'm wondering, like, am I keeping track of time unconsciously? Or am I trying to focus unconsciously?
You may be doing a rhythm, too. Like, I caught myself doing it right now. My knee's still bouncing up and down. And I was chewing my lip in time to it. So I was going, like, but I'm not doing it consciously. I wasn't doing it intentionally. Mm-hmm. It's just sort of like, and I don't think I'm doing it for that reason. I don't know why I'm doing it. I just have always done this. I've always moved around. Like, you look at Trenton when he's fucking trying to sit in a chair. He's half the time. I mean, his head's at the bottom and his feet are at the top half the time.
I move around a lot, but not as much as Trenton. Like, I mean, I can sit. I kind of sit still. Like, he makes me feel like I'm still. But I know I'm not, but he makes me feel like I am because he moves around so much.
This is flattering. I appreciate it.
Well, you see, the thing is, below here, my whole body's like, blah! No, just my knee. Just my knee. Just my knee, actually.
Picking up everything that Trenton is doing, and I'm just like, what is going on here? Like, the environment is, like, moving around so much. Stop, Trenton, stop moving.
Well,
I find that I'm not very good with time, either. At my job, I find that I've forgotten to sign in or sign out a lot, and it's really bad. I guess it's, like, the whole SI function thing, I guess.
Let's see.
Not really sure.
Yeah, you have.
I don't know.
SI would be your.
You'd be your 8th, yeah. You'd be your 8th.
Yeah, my 8th.
And you should be decent at it, but it's kind of like not under good control. Like with me, I act a lot. I don't really understand why or when, and I sometimes act not with good discretion or restraint. And sometimes I use SE well to good effect, and sometimes it just sort of I just sort of do stuff, and I go, why did I do that? You know. So that's what I think of as an eighth function does that. It's kind of like not really under control. Go ahead, Trenton.
My grandfather, he is an ESTJ, and he thinks he can drive so good, but he is so unaware when he is driving. Like, holy shit. It's like he is not in tune with his external environment at all when he's driving.
That's not my dad. My dad was actually our race car driver as an ESTJ.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, he was in Europe. It's funny. It's weird. He was a race car driver. I know. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds like a lie, but it's true. I'm pulling a Trenton. It's true though. He raced Mini Coopers back in Europe in like 1954 or something, and the stories they tell, like they had a navigator and a driver, and they tear around the French countryside and shit like that. My dad was probably drunk half the time anyway. And the point that's neither here nor there. Passage of time. How much is the passage of time influenced by non-painful general sense of I don't want to be here? For me, time slows down to an absolute crawl. I do not want to be there. Just a general sense of I don't want to be there. Time just goes and just stops. And I'm like,
because I think as soon as we leave our happy place, we leave NE, and that is the exact. We don't. The antithesis of NE is living in the moment, according to the sensory environment you're in. And so when you're using NE, it's just like everything that could ever happen, everywhere, at any time in the future. And then when you're forced to deal with your immediate sensory environment, you're dealing with it on a right now. There is no future. There's only now. And within the variables set in the sensory environment you're in. And that is the worst fucking thing I can imagine. I hate that shit so much. Holy shit.
So, I mean, for us, obviously, waiting is a big challenge. When I'm in traffic, it drives me insane because my NE can't do anything about it. Did anybody else react a lot better to waiting? Hami, it would seem that an INTJ would wait fairly patiently compared to an ENTP. Can you talk about that?
Actually, I'm actually really impatient. Unless like there's a greater purpose that I'm trying to achieve.
Megabro, do you have a similar experience as an INTJ?
I can be patient for like about 40 minutes or so.
I can tell you the most patient type, ISFPs, probably.
Yeah. I agree. I think they're probably the most patient too. That would make sense. Because they're just waiting around for something to feel good anyway, right? It's like
yeah, that's true.
They're not looking forward to doing something. They're just waiting for the next good feeling.
They're so funny. I just love them. They really don't give a fuck at all. They don't.
Nandi, do you have an experience with waiting you'd like to share with us? Do you do waiting well or poorly?
I guess it depends on who I'm with.
You know, Effie sounds pretty.
People I'm more comfortable with, I might be more impatient with, or I might act more impatient around. But people who I don't know really well, I'm pretty lenient.
It's interesting to say people, though.
Or like outwardly patient. And inwardly too.
Okay, but
like with my brothers, I'm pretty impatient. But
Nandi, you keep talking about being impatient with people. I'm talking about like you're waiting in line at the DMV or something, and it's going really slow. It's going slower than you expected.
Oh, well, in that case, I just like retreat into my head, or I like constantly look at the clock, or I'll focus really closely on like sensory details of my environment.
Do you make noises of frustration and get mad at certain people in line?
Unless they're doing something to me or like something stupid or something, then no.
Oh my God! Could that woman look in her purse for any longer? You should be. You should get the fucking window. You
Somehow I
should hurt
relate
your
to that
goddamn
actually,
thing.
but
Just have it ready,
I like to
goddammit.
think I don't do that.
Do
And,
you
know,
people watch?
I get myself worked up like that. It's what I do. Go ahead, answer, please. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess I do people watch, but only when when I don't have anything to do, and I'm not thinking of anything interesting at the moment. Then I focus on sensory stuff. So then I would people watch.
Yeah, it sounds like that's so interesting how that compares to inferior SI, because when I'm in those moments and I can no longer use NE like you can't use NI. I'm usually brooding over something that's happened or thinking that I haven't done. I'm supposed to be doing.
Or this happens to me.
That's what I'll try first.
I'll
try and figure out what things I need to get done.
Here's the thing. I'll go someplace where I know I'm going to have to wait, right? I'll tell myself before I leave, Eric, you need to bring your phone, you need to bring your headphones, you need to bring your notepad, you need to bring these pencils. And then I'll say, okay, time to go, pull a couple bowls. I'll grab my wallet, my keys, and my phone with no headphones. And I'll go, okay, time to go. And I'll drive away. And I'll get there. And then I'll spend the whole time that I'm there thinking about how, fuck, Eric, I can't believe you forgot those fucking things. This is so boring.
So true. I have noticed the most true thing about ESTPs is they will fucking stare at you. They will just eyeball the hell out of you. I'm sorry.
I don't like when people stare at me.
What?
Yeah, that's actually so true.
Is there something on my face?
All right, let's go back to
ESTPs will
time.
look at you like this.
Time. Let's talk about time. We're going to try to stay on topic.
It's so hard.
Yeah, that was
I know, but look, I want to make sure anybody else who doesn't often get a chance to talk, like somebody like Eric, who probably is choosing not to, but if you have anything to say, are you somebody who's patient or impatient when waiting in a line type of a situation? How do you process that? What do you do with yourself during that time period? Is basically the question. Because to me, I think it really does matter what coping mechanisms you put in place for yourself. Ideally, I'd have like a big rolling suitcase of toys that I'd take with me if I have to go someplace, you know? Like a video camera, a little piano, and like
What?
This is the sixth activity. Mister, this is the sixth different activity you've done in the last 10 minutes of waiting. What the fuck is wrong with you? That's what I want to have people say to me. I brought a lot of toys.
Let's see how it compares to the inferior function, because so far when we're patiently waiting for something, we engage in the inferior function. That's what me and you and Nadi do. So I wonder if that's the same. JC.
But let's get Eric's answer, actually, because I asked him and then I riffed on something. Eric, go ahead, answer. I see your mic's on. I'm happy to see that. He's playing a practical joke on me. Okay, so QB Sauce, do you want to INFJ your way into the chat with a notion about do you wait patiently or impatiently? You could just put P for patiently or I for impatiently if you don't like to type.
QB Sauce is an INFJ?
What's it says?
Oh, it says INFJ.
Yeah.
Huh.
How about you, JD? Do you have any thoughts on this, chat or on mic as you see fit? Do you wait patiently, and if so or not, what's your type? I forget. Okay, well, apparently they are very patient about waiting to type things. So that shows me how patient you are.
Wait, JD says it depends on whether I have something interesting to think about. So I guess if they have something interesting to think about, then they can wait patiently.
Does it matter if you're surprised by the need to wait? To me, that matters too. Like if I expect to have to wait a lot, I might go in with something interesting to think about or something to do, like a notepad or something. But if I am surprised, like there shouldn't be a line here today. That's why I timed it this way. Then it drives me insane. It has lots to do with expectations.
Yeah,
That's why I never go to the supermarket.
That's true.
JC, what do you do? Do you think you use your inferior function when you're feeling impatient?
If you take away like my phone and a notepad, like Eric says, like if you take away anything that would, I guess, lead me to
Engage.
SE things, yeah, then I don't know. Maybe, I mean, I guess if I had to, if I'm in a spot where I have to retreat inside, then I suppose then I'm using SI and I things. What was that?
What do you think about?
Life. Like my life mostly.
JC, I want to hear you sing one of my country songs. I want to hear you sing country style. I want to hear what it sounds like. That's me telling you your NI resistance is because it's your suggestive function. So I'm going to suggest that you say, oh, my suggestive function is suggesting me wrong things. I should listen to Eric and sing a country song.
What? What does that have to do with an I? Nothing, but okay.
I made the link. It was okay. It wasn't the strongest link ever, but I made it.
Sure. I don't know. I guess I can retreat inside if I don't have anything else to engage in outside of me. Yeah. To answer your question, Trenton.
Now, do you sing as well, or just play the violin, or what?
I just play the violin.
Have you
I
tried
mean, I
singing?
can do other stuff.
Do you have good pitch?
Huh?
Do you have good pitch?
Yeah.
You should
Yeah.
try-
I have
you
a
should-
pretty good ear. I mean, I've been playing for like 8 years, so.
Well, then you can sing. That's the only thing. The thing is, if you have good pitch, you can sing.
I
You're not going to sound maybe like
can
JC.
sing softly in tune.
Then that's fine. Yeah. Look, that's the thing about recordings is it's a little human element like that is good to have. So, I would love to try to get more voices, even if it's just for like you singing
Okay.
one phrase, guys. I'm not saying JC you got to work your ass off it in the music studio all day to meet my high standards. I'm just saying if I get a phrase or two from you, I'll mix it into something. I would have loved to have a female voice in my epic masterwork entitled Pete's Neat Beat. But I didn't, so I just went ahead and posted it.
I have another theory about time. Well,
Okay.
I don't know. It's kind of about time, but it's about SI. Like, we're like planning. Like, I think when NI plan, it's like actively thinking about a specific path it wants to plan for. It's like, okay, this and this needs to happen this way, so let me do this so that it can line up, so that it can work. And whereas SI, when it plans, it kind of plans for NE. It plans for like all possible futures. It's like, all right, I need to be as sufficiently set up perfect so that if the end of the world comes, everything will go according to plan. So that's just my theory about
I think it's
how
a good
NI
distinction.
plans versus how SI plans.
Yeah, I think it's a great distinction. I like that a lot. And I think, how much you need or benefit from planning has to do with these things as well, because I honestly don't feel as though planning is something that necessarily helps me to be more successful in just about any endeavor. I feel the need to adjust on the fly to figure it out in the first place. It's almost like, how can I plan? I don't know what I'm going to decide on in the moment. How can I plan anything?
Right. So like SI is trying to plan for everything because of NE is this suggestive function, right? And then like NI is my suggestive function, so I actually think that is kind of like how I plan. But it's kind of like I'll think of something that I need to do, and then like I'll do it. So like if it's something that I can't do, I was thinking about this earlier because someone had asked me about worrying, like if I worry about things, and it's like, well, not really, because if it's something that I can do about it now, then I'll try to do that. I'll actively attempt to do the thing that I need to do. And if it's something that I can't do right now, then I'll worry about it when I can do something about it. And then I'll do that something about it. Like, and if I can't do anything about it, then, I mean, that's just depressing and sad. So, I don't know. I don't know what I do in those situations. I guess I just rant and complain to my friend.
You know, it's funny you say you run and complain rather than you go and seek help. It's a very FI thing to say instead of FE,
well,
you know?
I mean, if it's something that I feel like has no answer, I mean, maybe, I don't know. Most things do have an answer. I might go for it. I mean, if I can't figure out the answer, if I know that there's an answer and I just can't figure it out, then I'll go for help. But I don't usually, I mean, I'm talking about in situations where I personally feel that there's nothing I can do.
All right. Well, and I think your point about the problem being, for me, it being almost impossible to plan lots of kinds of things, right? So I may have had some ideas about what we were going to talk about when we came into the show tonight, but my real thought was, oh, we're going to go do that now. I should come up with a couple little ideas or something, just to give us something to work off of. And so I did. I did a little teeny pre-work, you know, as I'm waiting for people to show up. But I feel as though if I tried to follow through on a plan, then I would be feeling like I was making poor decisions all the time. Like, well, what should I do now? Well, the plan says I should do this. But the plan doesn't know what now is. You know, it's like... So that's how I kind of feel about it. A lot of things. Like classes, too. I don't plan any of my classes.
Really? You don't plan any of your classes?
No, I just walk in there. I have no idea what I'm going to do until I show up. Because it's coaching, though. Remember, but even when I was teaching, I could usually wing it. But coaching, it's a matter of continually assessing and then doing the thing that needs to be done. I often walk in there and ask the kids, "Well, where are you living? Where are we weak? Where do we need more? You know, bricks to shore up holes and stuff." And part of the idea of doing it well is to try to not. This is my excuse. The reality is to try to make it acceptable to me. I can't have any responsibility for that kind of shit. I need the kids to tell me what we did and what we need to do next, and I let them know that right away. I say, look, I'm basically disabled. You guys need to help me, and you also need to help me because I'm supposed to be your helper, not your director. So you guys need to direct me about shit. Tell me when I'm rambling on. Give me a cue or something like that. I just tell them that.
Okay, so I read an article. It was talking about the difference between like how NTs and NFs perceive time. Sorry, I didn't say anything about the sensors, unfortunately, but like you can tell the difference if you ask them. Let's see if I can remember how to. So in NTs. Oh no! Sorry, it was people with NI versus people with NE. That's what it was. But it was the intuitives, I guess. Yeah, so like higher up intuition. But anyway, so the people with higher NI would see the past, present, and future. So like the future would be in front of them, and the present would be like where they're standing or directly in front of them, and then the past would be behind them. And the people with NE, the past would be like on the left, and then the present would be in front of them, and then the future would be on the right. So the way that the time went traveled in a different direction depending on like which functions you use, and I thought that was interesting.
Well, I'm curious as to whether that's a sort of a visual representation, because I've often been curious about that in general, the way that we visualize different kinds of abstractions. So when I'm visualizing time, I have it's basically on the same. It's on the same scaffolding as my numbers. That's funny. I just realized that. It's on the same scaffolding as my numbers. It goes like this. It goes like when I'm born to when I'm 10 years old goes up, and then from 11 to 20 goes down, but like this. It goes birth to 10, then 10 to 20, birth to 10, then 10 to 20, then 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50. Those are the numbers, but of course in my life it only goes to 45. So it only goes 30, and then it goes like a little over, and then up to 45. I have kind of a timeline that works like that, and it's kind of vaguely filled in with like blocks, you know, like, okay, well these are events and shit that happened, but I don't really, I couldn't call upon it or look at it or use it for anything. It's just sort of a vague sense of shit that happened. If I need to reference it, I probably talked about it on one of these videos. I'll go watch that video at some point. You know, it's like that.
Yeah. Yeah, did you notice how you were going from left to right, though?
Well, I'm having problems with it because the camera's reversed, so I always think like, oh, I'm too close to this side. Oh, it's backward. That's why that happens. I get really confused.
No, I factored that in already.
Oh, you already did? Okay, cool.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I was talking about. The NE versus like the NI would probably be like the future is ahead of you or in front of you, and you're looking at it, and the past is behind you, and not necessarily from like left to right.
I don't
It's
think
more
about...
linear,
Yeah,
I guess.
Go ahead, Megabro.
Yeah, I know. I think I agree with you. I feel that way about SI, SE, and NI.
Okay,
I
cool.
also agree. At the very least, I agree that I see time. I mean, I know it's supposed to be for NI times or whatever, but I mean, I definitely see the past as behind me, the present as right now, and the future in front of me. That's how I see it.
I don't see myself
Just people with
anywhere
NI.
positioned in it. I don't see myself positioned in it. I see myself like not there at all. 38. Good job, Trent.
Thank you.
Oh my god.
I'm very proud of your failure. Maybe you know what? You should watch that earlier video. I want you to work on your self-defeating failure syndrome. Okay.
Here's what I was during the test.
I can't see it. Hold on.
It's a Superman symbol.
That's beautiful, Trent. You're a real artist.
Thank you. I
Okay. So last thing about I agree that you agree that you're right about your agreement. I also agree. I also agree that the future to me seems like a delta. It's kind of a vague wash of stuff that's kind of out there, like at the end of the lines, right? Like it's just sort of like, well, it goes that direction, it goes over there, but it's just sort of, you don't know how wide it gets. You know the middle line, but you don't know how wide it gets. You know what I'm saying?
The way she was
I don't
describing
really understand it.
Yeah, me neither.
it kind of sounded to me like with NI, it's almost like the perspective on time is almost like three-dimensional, where you're inside of it and you look in front of you and you look behind you. And the NE kind of sounded like you were almost over it and you were looking at time as if it was a 2D thing in front of you.
Yeah.
Like you were looking at it.
Like kind of like from
like-
bird's eye view or perspective.
Yeah,
you were
I'm not in
like
the
the left to
picture.
right is like looking
Right.
at it like a timeline still, but
Yeah.
on a piece of paper.
That makes sense. Is that true for you, UB? Is that how you see time?
Yeah, that's often
right.
how I look. Yeah, kind of like that. I mean, kind of like that.
Tell
Conceptually,
us
yes,
more.
it is.
Tell us more
Do you
directly.
think?
Tell us more exactly what your visualizations are
Well-
over time.
I mean, what I meant is I think we all do both. I mean, of course, like, to live in the world, we gotta look forward and look back. And it's like we're in our micro perspective, and there's also
I'm
the
talking
macro.
about how you visualize it, right? Just in your head, how you visualize it. I'm not talking about how you think about it or anything like that. But like, I have does it go? Do you visualize numbers differently than you visualize your own age? Yubi?
Sorry, I'm not sure exactly what you mean
Could
by
you
that.
explain that?
Okay, well, yeah, sure. Most people have some sort of visual layout for numbers and letters in their heads. So a lot of people see A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's lined up just a long line because that's what they saw in the classroom when they were little kids, right? Some people have different sets up for ABC. I have a different one. Mine doesn't look like the thing on the top. I don't visualize that at all because I'm not really visualizing things. It's more like a structural, like a skeleton of a thing or something. So like in my head, when I think about numbers, if I'm looking, okay, let me think about 1 through 20. I think, well, there's 1 through 10 and there's 10 through 20. It comes right down like that, right? So it goes, 11 and there's 20. And then 30 goes up to here, 30. And then it looks like this, like an N for 30, okay? So here's 0. Here's 0, okay? There. And then it goes up to 10. And it goes down to 20. And then it goes up to 30, right? Now, in my numbers that continue on, not my age then goes like this. It goes like 40 and then kind of like 45-ish, like that kind of, right? But the numbers go like this. After they get to 29, it changes and it goes 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 29, and then 30 to 40, 40 to 50, like this. So then the tens are laid out like that after that, okay? So these are tens until you get to 100. Once you get to 100, then it turns. When you get to 100, it turns back over this direction.
I know, right?
It turns back over that direction. And then it repeats. And then it goes up and it repeats.
Yeah, that doesn't happen for me. Mine are just kind of intuitive. Like, whenever I think about that stuff, it just kind of, like, pops into my head. I
But
don't
don't they relate
Like,
to
I
each
don't
other
really
in
picture
space
it.
at
I don't
all?
visualize that, which is funny because I'm a visual thinker, but...
Go
I
ahead.
have to think about it more.
My time is like I compare where I'm envisioning to like the universe, and I'm at different zoom levels. So if I'm imagining a little bit later, I'm imagining moving through the fourth dimension a little bit.
Fourth dimension is time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Okay, I've heard some different theories about that, so... Sorry.
Yeah, that's time.
But the thing is, if I can do like 4 dimensions of visualization at once. So if I'm doing like a realistic visualization, I only can look at one timeline. But if I simplify it into like concepts, I can split the timeline into patterns and diverge.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But it's no longer realistic looking.
Yeah, I mean, it's so
it
alien
like-
to me. I don't even know what that could be like. I can't even conceive of it.
Well, it's like you can see 4 dimensions in a 6-dimensional universe, and 3 of the dimensions of the universe are space and 3 are time. But in order to see multiple dimensions of time, you have to give up some of your conception of space.
Huh.
I lost you at the 6th-dimensional thing.
Okay, that's weird.
But I still understand what you're talking about. But
What
only because I
mean is,
experienced it.
It's probably easier to imagine 2 dimensions of time than 3 if you haven't tried it. But at 2 dimensions of time,
By 2 dimensions
You
of
can-
time, are you saying 2 timelines? Like 2
well, yes,
separate...
it allows for 2 timelines. In fact, it allows tree structures of timelines.
Okay, so are
Okay,
some of them
can you,
are
can
some
you
of them
relate
possibles?
this to...
Yeah. Where's the agent in all this?
What does that mean?
Relate this to like, where are you? Yeah, where are you in it? Where are you? Are
you
you
looking
thinking
on?
about possible
Yeah, we're
timelines
looking.
in your life?
Well, at least, yeah. I'll let Megabro talk.
I'm just like like a bodiless vision ability that can move through it.
Okay. The
Are you like
question I have. A question I have is this. So basically, you're saying time that hasn't been realized yet is time that can be split and perceived as a couple of potentialities? Or are you saying
Yeah.
something like time that hasn't been realized yet can be understood through being realized as different timelines by multiple agents?
No, I just do it for myself.
Okay, cool. Okay, I get it. I get the idea. So that's how you visualize time, huh? That's so weird because I guess I don't really visualize time. I just have numbers, and I think that's back then, and then that'll be sometime in the future, and I mean I know dates and stuff. That stuff I have to write shit down if I want to keep track of it. Like, don't forget you have to start class on this date at this time. I got to make sure I write that stuff down. I usually do. I'm pretty responsible about that. But as far as visualizing time, that seems really strange because I'm realizing I'm not visualizing anything like time at all. I'm instead visualizing an identity I'm trying to stabilize of SI of myself, right? Like, understand myself as a contiguous being, not just a being in process.
Megabro, could you give an example?
Well, in my NI, there's this timeline where, well, there's a few timelines, but there's a timeline I want to happen. And that's like where humans, like, spread all over the universe.
And in the timeline that you'd like to see that happen by next Thursday?
No. That would be like 100,000 years.
You know what, Megabros? What you're explaining right now, what you just said, like, my INFJ friend talks about that so much. Like, he puts so much thought into envisioning the possible, like, routes that humanity as a whole can take. And he's thought them out, like, really fucking far. Like, he'll sit there and talk about them.
Do you think you do this, like, do you do this also specifically for your life, like for your own life? Or is it always generalized, like the universe and humanity?
Well, it depends on what scale I'm doing at it. But I can do it at any scale I want to.
Yeah, I think, that sounds like that's a very NISC thing, I think, that whole zooming in and out of...
Yeah.
I feel like I do that, but I feel like I only do it really when I'm thinking about my own life. Like, and I only do it, like, when it's, like, I don't know.
I do it for my life. I can do it for, like, the universe as a whole, but I don't really focus on that much. But I've been doing that a lot and thinking of, like, how I want my life to, like, go. So I've got, like, very specific goals and very specific things that I know I need to accomplish and things that I know I need to do to get where I want to be. And so I'm like, that's really elaborate in my mind. And that's what I've been focusing on. Like, the whole universe thing, I don't really pay attention to that too much.
Hami, how do you think about the future?
I pretty much have my life planned out already.
Can I... Sorry, go ahead. My bad, go ahead. I just have a question for everyone that's saying that they, like, really plan out their life. Like, does it ever go even close to according to your plan?
So far, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I graduated high school.
Okay, then I guess I'm, like, questioning the amount of detail, I guess, that goes into the plan. Because, to me, life seems to throw so many tiny details that you could not possibly account for. Like,
Oh yeah, no.
I mean,
Yeah, not
okay.
specifically, but like in general, like where I want to be so far that I planned out, like I'm already there.
Let me chime in a little bit here, Yubi. I feel you completely. It seems insane to me too, but it's weird. I watched Kunkel work with my ENFJ director, Abe, who wasn't being able to do it because he's the wrong person for that particular task. So the ENTJ came in and he's like, "Well, we'll meet on this day, for this many hours. We're gonna get these things done on this day." And then on Wednesday we'll meet for this many hours. We get these things done. We won't meet Thursday because I've got this other thing here. Blah blah blah. If we need additional time, we'll work Friday morning this to the time. And then he asked me a bunch of questions. Right? This is what needs to be done. Okay. And he laid it out. Well, this is the set of protocols we're going to execute. You know, for some people that works great, and for some tasks it works terribly to try it my way, unfortunately. So I have to like reach out. Somebody please help me because I'm not making any progress in this. I've got these papers, but they're all written out by hand. It's like, okay, well here's my schedule by hand on a piece of paper. I can do that, but that doesn't actually make shit happen. You know, I don't know. So you got to get the right person.
Maybe with the NI, it's just with like in the dominant 4, maybe it's just such an adherence to the NI, you know, like such a commitment to the vision.
Well, I think it's a
Actually,
lack
yeah.
of distraction too, right? A lack of distraction by a million other visions, probably.
I don't really have a
relates to
million other
Megabro.
visions.
I know that's why you're not distracted by them.
What did you say, Hami?
Actually, like really relate to Megabro's description of time.
Yeah, same.
See, I get what you're saying, Yubi, about like having all these other things, too many other things kind of come in the way. Cause like NI is my last slide. So what I think I do is like I kind of entertain it sometimes. I'll be like, this and this and this, that kind of sounds cool. I should try to make that happen. I should try to do this. I should try to do that. And then that's kind of the extent of it.
I gotcha. Like I plan, like I feel like I definitely use NI and I feel like I'm good at it, but it's just not, I guess I think with it being higher up in the stack, you use it on a more like in a more gross way, like a more broad, like my NI is very applied. Like if I need to get something done in the day, then I can create a vision for that day and execute it perfectly. Like get everything done in the times that I need and run all my errands and do everything perfectly. But I don't do it with like my life in broad or look at the scope of humanity that much in broad as a timeline.